Oh, there we go.
There it goes. Okay, this is the East Hampton Housing Partnership on Tuesday, January 20th. It is 6:54. So I brought with me, I updated the priorities for 2015 based on, I don't know, 2015 is on the back. That was not a very good, I should have put it in the front, but I didn't. But those are the ones we talked about last time. So I just want to make sure that clearly, that makes sense to everybody. That those were the things we decided to keep, and then we added 2 new things. Okay. So I'm gonna try to remember to keep these at the top of my housing partnership file, so we don't forget about them like last year.
Well, is there anything, I don't know.
Some of these things lead into other conversations, like our housing production plan. Which is basically numbers 1 and 2 have to do with the housing production plan. So I think once we get it, we hear back from DHCD that it's been approved,
Right.
then we can think about if we want to do this pilot program, and if we want to think about maybe going to ask for some money to hire a consultant to help us with that, or
Cool.
do it ourselves. I mean, I think probably hiring a consultant would,
Make more sense.
and move it along faster.
Yeah,
Maybe come up with something by the end of the year.
that'd be good.
So I thought maybe it was worth having kind of a pre-discussion for this Valley CDC meeting to talk about, but I don't have a huge sense of exactly what they want us to say. So in the email, I just reread it, to identify critical community needs and trends and help Valley CDC inform their strategic direction.
So it sounds a lot like when Jess goes to apply for CDBG money, and they have this kind of public hearing
Yeah.
to do similar kinds of things.
So, do we want to kind of talk about, I don't know.
What those might be.
Yeah, what we think those might be, like our critical community needs for East Hampton. I'm sorry, I wish Jess was here, because I think she would.
Well, I think that some of the stuff just comes out of the changing demographics of the city, right?
Right.
We know that we're getting older as a population, so that means, and that's true for all of Western Mass.
Yeah.
So we need more supportive housing kind of options, and more accessible kinds of options, and more single, a lot of people living alone.
Yep.
So those would be my, off the top of my head, things that we know for sure. What other stuff are you guys seeing over at the Housing Authority, where I saw you the other day and went, oh, right, Betty's not really retired anymore?
And I am retired,
I know, you
I
helped
have to go to
her.
court for them for something from ages ago, but I wasn't working there that day, I was just getting information.
Uh-huh.
But the director told me she's gonna have a surgery on her knee. I said, oh, she said, when that happens, can you come and work for a couple months? And I said, yeah, okay. But then she got a shot, hoping that will
Oh, good.
tide her over for a while. But anyway, the housing authority definitely has a long list of elderly, single, handicapped,
How about family housing? How is that?
2-bedroom, more than, we don't have a list for locals of 3 or 4 bedroom.
Because they
Have
don't,
that for a long
because
time.
it's not open?
No, it's open, and
Okay.
it's been open.
So it's full?
It's full,
Yeah.
but
But
the
you don't
list,
have-
there's not a big list for 3 or 4 local.
Gotcha.
There's a ton of them from Boston or Framingham or
Mhm.
something, but
That
East
want-
Hampton.
That want to come
Yeah,
to
well,
Western Mass.
Well, they need
They-
to go somewhere.
Right.
Right.
But then when you call them and tell them where you are, they don't always want to go. But,
Are these some of the people that Boston is trying to shove this direction because,
but
If you're-
2-bedroom was really hot in
The
East
high-
Hampton.
the high need.
Greatest need. And if you look at the list of the housing authority.
A lot of times when you're in shelter, one of the requirements is you have to apply for public housing, and so that's why you get applications from
Right.
From everywhere.
yeah.
all over,
Mm-hmm.
because
But
they
then
just,
when their name comes up, they don't
they don't want to live there.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently Springfield is being inundated to the point
Should
of
be two.
stress,
What they said.
yeah, chicken too, stressing everything beyond what
Yeah.
they thought they could cope with.
Yeah.
Was
Well,
there
and I
something
know the
in the
mayor
news
just-
about like people, like 3 families in one apartment or something? I was like half listening.
Yeah, there are cases like that. There are a few of them in Holyoke like that. I mean, they're large extended families, basically.
Well,
Some of them are. I
Yeah.
don't know about, the ones you're hearing about.
And I think all the folks who are in hotels,
Yeah.
those families are certainly, there's plenty of them, and there's a huge need for that. And I think that's what the mayor of Springfield was probably railing against recently.
Right.
The mayor was just talking about how he was not really pleased with the amount of people in Springfield who live in shelter.
What I don't understand and never have understood, I mean, I think it's great that the law in Massachusetts is families have to be housed, period. I think that's great. But look at all the empty real estate around. And why can they justify shutting out $2,000 for a motel room for a month
Yeah.
and not
You can't
justify paying
having
$800 for
it.
rent?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree,
No, it's-
I agree.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they got a whole family living in one room, it might have 2 beds,
Yeah.
but it's one room, maybe they got a microwave or a hot plate,
They're
and
not
that's
supposed
it.
to have a hot plate.
Yeah.
They get
They
in
might have a
trouble if they
microwave
have a
or
hot-
refrigerator,
Yeah.
and
But
that's
they're this
it.
big. It's not
Yeah.
useful or sustainable.
It's a large
Some of the
gap.
money into building housing that they put into the
Well, and
hotel.
other communities are, out in the west, are building these tiny little, they have
Yes.
these modular things
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
they're cheaper
They
than.
park it, boom, 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 it's all set up and you move in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's big, it's one person, it's specifically, the
They're
ones that I've
usually
seen
for
anyway.
veterans, right?
Pardon?
They're usually for veterans.
Well, that's,
Often.
that's one population that they're doing this for. I think it's
I think I
somewhere in
saw it on
Ohio.
Facebook. I think it's somewhere else in the west too. There's a couple places
Yeah.
doing it.
But they, and, well, even New Orleans
Yeah.
got their entire homeless population housed. So, but they're using these innovative modular kinds of things where, it's a little kitchen area, a sleeping area, a toilet.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nicer than some apartments that you could, or hotel rooms, for sure.
Totally nicer than hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Family.
All right, so, supportive housing, accessible housing, housing for smaller households, high need for 2-bedroom units. For very low income, I would think a high need, which I don't know how Valley CDC isn't really to address, but is a very low income family,
Right.
like the tax credit units that are being built are not going to address the need of the family
Mm-hmm.
who has little to no income.
How big are the units that are going in on
Parsons.
Parsons?
They're a mix.
But are there like 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom?
There are some in there.
There's some
Really?
3, I don't think any 4.
Right. I
3,
think
2,
it's
1, and
Yeah,
is there studios? No.
I don't think so. I think it was 1, 2, and 3.
I do too.
And do we know the number of 3-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms and 1-bedrooms or?
Not off the top of our heads, but yes. It's
We
I
have
feel
that
like
information
it's some,
somewhere.
like 8 3-bedrooms or something. There's always less 3-bedrooms than there are.
Right.
But they definitely exist
And I think there's 3 bedrooms in
on
Cottage
Cottage
Street, I
Street.
think,
yeah.
too, right?
Mhm.
But again, not as many.
Right.
But most of the stuff that's been done in our town has looked like mostly 1-bedrooms or what are very high need.
Right,
Yeah.
and
So,
that's
that
probably
makes
why
sense.
we're sort of either encouraging it or not
Right.
complaining about it.
That's right,
Because,
right.
we do have the need.
Yeah.
And, it's great that elderly people can stay in their homes or in their own apartment and be independent with some assistance and that kind of
That's
thing.
right.
But if you don't have somewhere to house them,
Right. Right.
So between that and the thing where you can build an apartment on the back of your house, then
Yeah.
Accessory
Oh,
apartments.
accessory
in
apartments.
that's
lots.
terrific.
So when I worked at the community foundation in Worcester, one of the CDCs there, that I'm gonna forget the name of at the moment, but One of the things that they did was they actually did a survey of most of the residents in their neighborhood who were homeowners, and they kind of compiled a list of elderly homeowners, and their neighborhood is mostly three-deckers. And they arranged, in a bunch of cases, to basically buy it out, give them a tenancy at will, and then rehab the 2 apartments and do the rental themselves, so that there was somebody in there that they, could trust and not be afraid of. Because a lot of times, they won't rent.
Right.
Right, because they don't know who's there and they don't
Yeah.
have the wherewithal to keep up with all the paperwork or whatever they'll have to. and-
I don't know if that's something that Valley's looked into, or, I don't know. It was pretty successful.
I think it's a good
They
idea.
turned that whole neighborhood around. It was such a really awful place. And that CDC's just done amazing work.
Okay.
But that was also at a time when there was different kinds of money available
Oh,
than there is now.
What about, we don't talk about this as much here, I feel like, than other communities might, but, first-time homebuyer education, foreclosure prevention, I mean, that's a big focus of Valley's.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like we talk about it that much in terms of need or, I don't know, I mean, our CPA community is different than some of the other communities in terms of funding that kind of stuff, but,
So are they just trying to get a sense, they're trying to get a sense of what we,
my guess is they're trying to get a sense of what we think our critical community needs are.
well, I think foreclosure prevention is still important here.
I agree.
And obviously the home buyer stuff, but they just do such a good job with it that I don't think of it as a need because it's there.
Well, right, it's there.
And
Yeah, I
they do
don't
such a
either.
good job finding the email and then losing it again. The Valley one, the save the date.
I have.
I just found it again.
Transportation and employment opportunities are
Yep.
things that need to be looked at when you're trying to either entice people to your little enclave or have people that can afford their rent.
True.
And if you don't have transportation, it's, we're stuck here in the middle of nowhere except for maybe half a dozen bus routes a day.
But at least we have buses.
Well, this is true.
But that is definitely.
Yeah.
It is.
But, and, now that the high-speed rail north and south is in, I don't know if they must have a stop at the station, at the train station in Northampton.
They do.
We do.
Yeah.
So that, people from here could at least get a bus out to there and grab a train and go
Right.
either direction. And they're trying to get an east-west high-speed,
That
like from Albany to Boston.
Nice.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can we take the local? Are you gonna take the train to work?
I totally would if they don't have commuting trains.
Not yet. I would too.
I would. I mean, why
I would.
not?
Yeah,
I
I think that'd be relaxing.
Went on the train in New York.
So much better.
Well, and the Greenfield, the Overstate Transit Center is like right behind my office.
Right, that'd be
So,
great.
be
Karen
awesome.
said she took it recently.
I think she took it and then she called me and she's like, "Are you going back to east, going back south today?" And I think it only she couldn't
Yeah, it goes
she couldn't
once a
get
day.
home. I
Right.
was like, "I'm not actually."
There was something else that I was thinking about related to something you said. It'll come back to me. About the job training. Or, the issue of transportation and jobs and.
I mean, I don't know much about their small business programs.
Yeah, I've heard good things about their small business programs. Shoot.
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
Um,
It's been a long day.
well, I think
Hey, the older you get,
Every day feels like it's about 3 days long these days, I tell you.
the older you get, the more you realize it doesn't have to be a long day for it to just
To
fly
go
out.
away.
It's just all gone.
well, I think this is good just to kind
Yeah,
of get us
that's part
thinking
of
about
it.
it.
Well, like, the news about hearing that half of all public school children live in poverty was really amazing.
In Massachusetts.
in the country, I think.
in
is
the country.
It is amazing.
That's,
It's amazing.
Mhm.
and yet we're gonna cut food stamps even more.
Great.
So
So that
that-
we can give that money to.
To the Koch brothers.
me.
Yeah, right.
It'll come back to me.
Anything else on this issue? No?
Not yet.
I'm gonna jump on the agenda just to number 5, because it's short, to say that we think that the mayor did have a conversation with Megan about not continuing. I actually saw Megan at something, and it was kind of an awkward conversation because she was kind of indicating to me like, oh, I'm really sorry it didn't work out. And I was thinking like, did the mayor make a decision already?
Right.
Like, because it was like 3 days after we gave the
Yeah.
letter to the mayor, so I was kind of like,
Does that have to go?
and I didn't really know what to say because I wasn't really sure what Megan was saying, and I didn't really know what the mayor was going
Yeah.
to decide. So I was like, huh? But Jessica said she thinks that the mayor had a conversation with Megan, but she's going to have to go back to the council to remove the affordable
Right.
housing provision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she might have just said, I got the letter, and now it's just letting her know that at least we're trying to move on in some direction, so.
So I guess we'll just stay tuned to see if she goes. I guess there's not really much for us to do. This is kind of back in the mayor's
Right.
court to figure out what to do with it. But also on Habitat, actually, while I'm thinking of it, Megan had asked me if I wanted to be on the family selection committee because they have a vacancy, and I don't. But if anyone else would like to,
On the what committee?
Family
their
selection.
family selection committee, which she said, like, over the winter, they're redoing all of their policies and procedures, and then, which I was like, wow, that sounds like lots of fun. And then in the summer, they're gonna be doing a selection for, I think, one of their Amherst sites.
Mm.
I was just for me, I think it's just too much of a time commitment to be like
Yeah.
that uberly involved, but
Not right now.
she said to pass it along to anybody else that I thought might be interested, so I'm just passing along in case. I know you're now like the chair of every committee in town, but, just in case anyone
Yeah.
else was interested, they were looking for folks. All right, anything else on Habitat? I think once the weather gets warmer, we should think about
Yeah.
having a work crew.
Yes.
Can we talk about things that were said and or done in the planning board meeting regarding any of the stuff that is on our radar?
Oh,
Sure.
sure.
Okay,
Well, 'cause
Um,
that's why we have Alexis on this committee to play that role, so since she's not here.
Right.
okay. At the last meeting,
Are you on the planning board?
Oh, I keep getting them.
I'm the alternate member, that's why I'm the chair of the,
Oh,
I didn't realize you were on the planning board. Okay.
The
so,
last, so you're talking about the
So
planning
you're,
board
yes,
now?
that's
Right.
what I meant.
And you're alternate on the
Who's that
planning board?
today?
I'm the planning board alternate,
Too much
yes.
drinking dinner.
Wow.
Okay. They were talking about the Parsons Street School.
Oh, yeah.
There were probably at least half a dozen residents from that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, well, actually, yes, one of them was the one that Jessica speaks of, the rabble rouser over there.
Yes.
I don't know the name anyway, but there's somebody that's been very vocal. You know,
Yes.
they're ruining her environment, they're
Mhm.
ruining her
Was it a
neighborhood, they're.
Sure, yeah.
So she also indicated that what she thinks the planning board should do now, at this point, is just say no to the sale of the school. Because what they want,
It is already,
Mhm.
it's already.
I was like,
Sorry,
there's a huge,
Debbie.
like, 5-star builder's sign, like, right on the front lawn of the school.
So-
And it's all gated off.
she wants that stopped until she gets what she thinks the community needs, which is apparently there's a bunch of places that used to be small stores and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants that to be filled in with small businesses before they continue expanding the
Yeah, it's
neighborhood.
tough
It's like-
because, those are all privately owned, and the reason
Yeah.
they went away is because they
That's
didn't
because-
have clientele.
Right.
And
And she she seems to think that just because she wants that, and certainly it would be good for the neighborhood, that everything else should be stopped until those things are taken care of first.
Well, maybe she could open up a store there.
Well,
So what was the planning board's response?
That's not their job.
exactly.
Was this on their
Trying to get
agenda,
that
Parsons
point.
Street School on planning board agenda? Or this was like during like open discussion?
I think it was during the open discussion part.
Because isn't it a done deal? I mean, it's,
I thought it was.
Yeah, 5 stars are.
Yeah, 5 Stars even got a sign.
there's a huge sign on the front lawn.
Right, and it's
And
fenced, and he fenced it
actually,
in, right?
it was on the agenda. We've had the site plan that
Oh.
we're having to approve.
So, yeah, does the planning board have to approve the site
Right,
plan?
so it was on the agenda.
Were the people from 5 Star there?
Yes,
They must have been if they were.
there, but
closed.
apparently this young woman wasn't expecting to be there alone. And turns out whoever else was supposed to show up didn't, so she did the best she could, and I have a feeling she's kind of new at the process, but she did the best she could. She's going to be, getting more information to the planning board for the sake of getting the site plan approved, but, just,
So what are they putting, what are they doing? The
It's
back?
It's mostly housing,
yeah,
right?
it's all housing.
Is it all housing?
Yeah.
They didn't have a mixed use strategy? I can't remember now.
But it's it's not affordable, it's
No, it's
affordable, it's
market
It's not
marketing.
affordable.
And it's
He said there's a
rental?
lot of people from
Is it
Northampton that are
rental?
looking for apartments in East Hampton.
Yeah.
But I thought
And then
he
the
was gonna-
back of the lot is going to be open space.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So it's perfect in a lot of ways because it maintains the character of the building, which
Exactly.
everyone wanted.
right.
And it gives us some open space, which everyone wanted.
Wanted, yeah.
Oh, and the other thing was, why did we sell it for so cheap?
Nobody bid on it.
Yeah.
She could already bid on it.
Well, and it's putting it back on the tax rolls as well.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what
Yeah.
We're
Jesse
putting it onto them to do.
said, there was only one person interested in it,
Right.
and
that's- and
it's
it's
better to
great.
have the property
It's gonna
being
be
low
utilized and paying
builder.
taxes than,
And he did a nice job.
He did a
on
great
it.
job with the
Yeah.
button building,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
so,
I think it'll be good. I think he'll do a good job there.
I think it's a
Even
good
if she-
plan for that neighborhood.
Mhm.
well,
I
and
do
it's
too.
market rate,
Mm-hmm.
so,
Which will end up being mostly affordable.
but by
That's
default.
okay.
Mhm, But, you
It's
know,
okay. It'll be good.
They complained when you told them, when the affordable was there.
I know.
all right, anything else interesting happening at the planning board? No?
not relative to anything we're doing. But
Well,
I think that's some complaints of noise and stink over by
Sorry.
Lovefield Road.
no.
People behind Chem Nettle and that adhesive company,
What's the
Oh,
matter
yeah,
there?
yeah.
which are actually both owned by the same parent company. So,
Oh.
but apparently that issue's been going on for quite some time. But-
It's gonna be a fascinating new committee for you.
Yeah.
He's
Fill
on
us
Mr.
in.
East Hampton.
He is like Mr.
And
Easter.
I'm on the fair housing subgroup of PVs,
Oh,
The
PVPC.
Pioneer
Yeah,
Valley Planning
yeah.
Commission.
them. I'm on that. They're getting quite active. We have a meeting tomorrow. So.
That reminds me that I should maybe check, Mayor has not responded.
To our request to merge the
Yeah.
Fair Housing Committee with our
Yeah.
committee.
So I guess I should figure out how to check in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So I put these other two things on the agenda, but I kind of feel we've already discussed this 6 times. In terms of the housing production plan priorities, do we want to talk about like what our top priority is? Is our top priority this pilot program idea? Like, do we have other priorities? Do we want to wait until we have we had like 23 high priority
Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
actions, which is a lot.
I say we pick a couple, one that's really, we can do, one
Okay.
that we know we can do, and one that we would really like to do, even if the doability is kind of challenging.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Do you want me to list them?
Proposal. Since I don't have them with me.
I have 23. I'm gonna only list the ones that actually involve us actually doing something like
Perfect.
concrete.
Yeah.
Hold a developers workshop to encourage, well, this I think kind of all is tied together. To encourage the redevelopment of vacant, underutilized properties. Work with PVPC, DHC, and other local nonprofits and developers to establish procedures that would enable property owners to do small affordable housing projects. That's that infill thing.
Mhm.
And that's
Those
kind
go
of, those
together.
are related.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Revise the accessory dwelling unit ordinance to allow by right construction in the R5 through R40 zoning districts and encourage greater
But we
use.
don't actually do that. That's something that the ZBA has to do, right?
Well, I suppose we could advocate that they do
We
it.
could go and talk to them about it.
Just listed on. Maintain awareness of existing income restricted housing developments with soon to be expiring affordability
Yeah.
restrictions.
which we
So
have.
that's town
on our list.
lodging.
Yeah.
Yes, that one definitely we have to do something about.
Okay. Explore opportunities to supplement existing rental support programs that offer help with first, last, and security. Expand membership of the East Hampton Housing Partnership. That really
That
should
should
be,
be number
that
one.
should be a priority.
Yep.
Jim does number 15 and 16. Maintain membership on the Regional Housing Committee. Participate in regional and sub-regional conversations on fair housing. Ta-da!
So you better stay healthy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, 2 pneumonias in 1 year is plenty.
Too much.
yeah, what?
Mm-hmm.
It's because I destroyed my lungs.
I thought you were gonna quit smoking.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You had at least 5 smoking
I had a few days.
Well, then we have a whole bunch of educational components. Educate municipal staff, develop an education piece to put in the summit, write letters to the editor, develop a program on affordable housing for East Hampton public access cable, blah, blah, blah. Participate in local state elections.
We've had that on our priorities list for so long
Yeah.
that it would be so great
the
to
beginning.
actually do it.
Something.
Which one?
Our
To
whole
develop some kind of
education.
an education piece and, you know, bring it around to various people.
All right, so here's what, all right, what are we identifying as our? All right, so there's this whole, and then the one of them was donate, identify city-owned land that could be donated to housing entities, which I don't think we have that many of.
No, almost nothing.
All right, so we have
We
like,
just had to give some of it back to the city, so,
so maybe we should take that off the
Stay away
list for a
from
little while.
yeah, let's not go there right now.
All right, so there's this whole idea about encouraging development and infill, maintaining awareness of expiring units, 2, expanding the membership of the housing partnership,
Mhm.
and education.
Mhm.
That's 4.
That's good. Perfect.
Yep.
All right,
That's-
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1.
Betty can wrote them all down.
Okay.
So, wait a minute, but I didn't get the other, encouraging, infill.
Working with developers, basically.
Working with well, this is our whole like pilot program idea.
Right.
Like, do we and you know, do we go to CPA to
Mhm.
ask them for some money so that we could,
Yep.
all right, do that. Expanding our membership and doing our education.
Yep.
And perhaps the consultant could help us with the education
Yes.
piece as well, right?
I think that actually a lot of it can be pulled out of the housing production plan too.
The education stuff.
I do,
Yeah.
because I think that the components that we need are, what is affordable housing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why is it important? And who needs it and how, what are some ways that people have developed it?
And
And
I
also, I think having a component about fair housing discrimination in
It's a
there
good thing
would
too.
be really
it's
good.
really good.
And that, you can just pull off, their website, the people who.
Yep.
I can't remember.
Share Housing Center,
Master Housing.
That's right. They used to have, what was their old name?
Housing Discrimination
That's
Project.
right.
So in my head, they blend into one. And I'm like, that's not it.
I would like, though, someone to, in a very concise way, explain why is it so expensive.
Yes.
Because that, I think, if we could have a really good answer to those questions, I think it would help us.
Well, maybe at our next meeting, we write down these questions that we want to be part of our presentation that I just sort of rattled off.
Yeah.
And we can start there with the questions and finding answers to them. Does it make sense for us to have a working meeting where we bring a laptop and we actually go and look at Mass Housing's website and how do they talk about that? And, you know what I mean? Because that stuff is out there, we can find it, and we can actually put a draft of something together if we sat around this table together and did it.
We could do that.
And have
Yeah,
a
that
working
sounds like a
meeting.
good idea, me too.
Because then we wouldn't take it away, not do it, and then come back the next next month
Yes.
and go, oh yeah, we wanted to do that. We can, that's what we do with our East Hampton Matters sometimes. If we have a working meeting, we just all sit there and
That's a good idea.
do stuff.
All right. So,
And all of East Hampton is welcome to watch on ECAT.
Yeah.
well, we have Wi-Fi.
And there's Wi-Fi, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's much better.
Yeah, I have a like laptop.
I can't bring my laptop.
So why
Maybe
don't?
somebody would even be interested in joining the partnership.
Well, because we're very exciting.
We
need
And
members.
we're nice.
And we are very nice. So, okay, at our next meeting, why don't we really like think about the education piece?
Why don't we draft it
We could draft it.
at the meeting? We can really we can spend it at least, like, we have an hour-long meeting, so we just spend a half an
Concentrate.
hour, or whatever's left after we do all the other agenda items, then we spend the rest.
Well, we don't have to have other than
I
time.
know, just make
Well,
it.
we might have updates from Jess or something.
That's true.
So leave room for any,
Yeah,
like,
like a
something
short,
from that we
old
find out
business,
from the
new
mayor.
business.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
and then
Yeah.
work.
Do you want to talk about if we went to CPA with a proposal for the other item? Or do you want to do that at a different meeting?
I don't care. You mean next month's?
Yeah.
So if we have enough people here.
Do we know when their
Yeah, what's their
cycle
cycle?
is?
I lost.
Well, have we heard back from Joanne and Donna about where,
They are
the
with
last
that?
time I heard, it was they were not in a place where they could put forward something.
Right.
I offered to look at whatever ahead of time, because
That
it
was-
was some tweaking.
Yeah, that was the last email I got was the last one you got, so I think they got really busy with the lumberyard
Yeah,
project. and-
oh, I'm sure, that sounds like
Mm.
it's been.
Yeah, busy,
Yeah, Joanne's a
busy,
saint.
yeah. Yeah.
She just has to wear armor wherever
Where she goes, I know.
Really.
All right, so let's, okay. So our next meeting, we're gonna focus on the education piece. And if we have time, we can talk about the pilot program. Which I do think we should consider coming up with a proposal for CPA to get some money to do that, but that would need some thinking about.
Has anybody else, have other communities done that we know about, that we can
Gone to
see?
CPA
Mm.
or
Or
consultant.
just doing something, oh, right, for the consultant, before we,
Well, we're gonna have to make a pitch to the CPA committee about why they should give us money.
right. Because it seems like we're gonna have to also get money from the CPA committee to have someone do infill projects, like, they won't.
Oh,
Just cause.
well.
It seems like it would be a request for a consultant, and
Yeah.
probably down the road.
A request for money. Yeah,
And
but like,
that's okay.
look at those 4 units that they just put up where the laundromat is
Mm-hmm.
on Parsons Street. Like, that guy could
That's true.
That guy could have done 1 unit affordable,
Mm-hmm.
or the one on that Netto is doing in the what street is that? Like over.
Off Ferry, is that where it is?
Well, yeah, you know, like near like Nipper Street. There's like that.
Oh,
There's a
I
project
haven't-
in the
I'll have to
middle.
look.
There was like a farmhouse, and then he's putting up like small single families and
Oh, I
like
haven't seen it,
Oh,
I'll have
wow.
to drive by it.
but like that and there's like 16 units, I think,
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
but they're all Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there are developers doing
Stuff.
stuff. They just don't want to do.
Affordable, because it's really hard.
It's really hard and it's scary, but I think
Plans.
But I think if we had a consultant help us with this, they could say, well, then you're gonna, the CPA committee's gonna need to pony up $50,000 a project or something.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to think about. But I don't think that's very much money. They have money.
For housing,
Right.
it's hard
Yeah.
to spend.
And they haven't been, we haven't really spent much of it
No.
lately.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan.
It does sound like a good plan.
Another things for 2015 that would be done.
We're very organized. Okay. Anything else on that? Just a reminder to do your ethics test.
Right,
I did.
Been there, done that.
I have to do it.
I did it and then I forgot to print off the certificate, so I
Oh.
didn't do that. I mean, I have it, I made it a PDF, I just have to get it off my computer. But you can skip ahead to the end and just take the answer to the question.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to listen to the whole thing. For anybody who,
I
doesn't want
have to do them for work too.
Right.
I used to have to do it for work too. All right, I guess that's it. I don't have anything else. Anyone else have anything else? No. All right. We can adjourn the camera.
Do you have to make an announcement?
Oh.
Or do we have to vote on it?
We don't have to vote on it. 7:30, and we are adjourned.
Chat for now.
Ciao for now. Let's do it.
I don't know.
There you go.
No.